What's up, YouTube? It's your boy again, coming back with another video on this channel. As always, I'm the Rhino. Today we got a special guest today, author, awesomeness engineer. We have a friend of the show, Jharna. Welcome to the show, Les.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. We're welcome. So I guess the first question is, how are you doing today? Let's start with an easy question.
I'm doing great. I'm honored to be able to talk about this book I wrote. And yeah, I'm super excited for this. Thank you so much. Again, I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, same old, same old. It's tough out here for a gangster. So I guess the first question is, how did you get into writing?
Yeah, so I kind of got introduced to like poetry. I would like do some small poems in elementary school and middle school for like school assignments. And then in high school is when I got introduced to slam poetry. I was taking AP English and one of our units was slam poetry. AP English. Yeah, so
For those of you watching, listening, myself, the Rhino, hated writing in English. Just saying. That's why I said boo. That's it. Nothing personal. I just don't like reading and writing. At least back then, I didn't like reading and writing.
yeah. It's everyone's got their different fields, so I totally hear that. Yeah, but I got introduced to slam poetry then, and that's kind of when I really learned to like express not just for the assignment, but like my own like personal feelings into slam poetry. So that's how I got introduced to writing, and then I did short story and stuff afterwards.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, so what I know we were kind of discussing this before the podcast started. Like, what topics you write about, like versus like. Sorry, let me rephrase that. What's your book about? Assuming you're okay with telling us.
Yeah, of course. It's like a mix of my own personal experience along with some of the experiences of other people in my life. The subjects that my book kind of encompasses is abortion, sexual assault, and transgender issues. And that's all really important stuff that's going on in our community today. I know last summer Roe versus Wade got overturned, and that's kind of the big event that really started the conversation with me and my writing mentors around this book. And that's how like it started as an essay and then it became like a short story and now it's like a book. So yeah.
So I hope I don't cross any lines when I ask this question, but why did you pick those topics versus something else, like writing about like a fan fiction of Abraham Lincoln going through the woods killing vampires or something like that?
Yeah, I thought this was really timely. I started writing this when Roe versus Wade got overturned. And part of the reason was the time frame that we're in. I thought it would be really relevant for that. Another thing was a friend of mine was actually writing a book about her own experience with abortion. And I ended up reading that, and that was really powerful. There were some things I was through in my personal life at that time. So it was just all these things together that really inspired the process of writing the book. I think another thing to add is because it's so timely, I think it would gather more attention and more readers as well. So,
Okay. So if you had let's just say you had a metaphorical gun to your head, who would be your number one mentor be a student of, dead or alive?
yeah. So
And
I'll
you can
start
only
with
pick one. You can only pick
I
one.
can only pick one.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh gosh, that's hard. I guess my one mentor would be Allison Herman, um, for writing. She's a professor at Foothill College, and she teaches English and literature and composition writing.
Okay.
And she's actually the one who worked with me on this book for like a solid year. She's the only one who's seen the very original form of it. And she's an amazing person, an amazing instructor, and she's just helped me with all sorts of things, not only with my craft but in life as well. So
Cool, cool.
yeah.
Is there any authors you would like to be part of, assuming you can bring them back? Like if you wanted to be a Mark Twain, assume Mark Twain, or Anyone else?
Oh my gosh. So many, but I won't like go into a whole list or
Oh,
anything.
we got notes
But
here. We got notes right here.
um I think some of the big authors that, especially I'm more focused on the poetry area. Some of the more recent ones is one of my friends, Blythe Baird. She's an amazing poet and actress. Her mentor, Sierra DeMulder, who I just read her book. I don't have it with me right now, but
Dang it.
she's amazing. Sorry?
I said, dang it.
I know, yeah. Oh, actually I do. It's right here.
Haha.
I was like, yeah, she just wrote this book of
Oh,
Affirma, and it's so yeah, it's right here. And yeah, it's just those are the two. Olivia Gatwood is another one. Neil Hilborn. So this is, I can go on and on, but yeah,
well,
those are some of the big names in slam poetry that I
nice.
look up to.
So what do you write poetry or is it just more of a nonfiction fiction kind of thing?
I used to do more poetry. I still do poetry sometimes, but I've leaned from going into like rhyme and like rhyme poetry into more like prose poetry. I used to do a lot of rhyme, and now I've gotten more into like the prose angle of it.
What's
So
prose angle poetry?
prose angle is like, it's not super structured. It's it looks like, how do I say this? It looks like regular writing or regular fiction writing or whatever, but it has like a poetic rhythm to it. So I don't know if that made any sense at all.
Not for
It doesn't
me.
it doesn't have like a specific like rhyme in it. Like it's not like the lines rhyme at the end or anything.
All right, that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
So if you had to, let's now I want to flip the script a little bit. If you had to mentor someone else, like a Jane Doe or a John Doe, whoever, what advice would you give to this person or these people that you are truly teaching?
Yeah. I think writing, it's such a cathartic thing, and it's you can take so many different forms with it. I know a lot of people like to express a lot of their personal triumphs and struggles through it. And so I guess just my biggest piece of advice, and this is something that I'm working on too. I've gotten much better with it, but it's something that I'm working on, and something that a few other of my writing friends struggle with as well, which is we're encouraged to be as honest as possible in our writing, and I think that's really good. I think that's really brave and courageous. It's really important to do that, to be like open and honest about your feelings. That being said, I think it's also important to acknowledge that you're writing for yourself at the end of the day, and it's important that you feel comfortable with what you're putting out there. So there's a fine line, there's a balance, and it looks different for everybody.
Right.
But being honest with what you're feeling and putting that into writing, but also not feeling pressured to be like, oh, I have to like make this 100% true or whatever. It's okay to add some twists here and there if you're not feeling 100% comfortable with putting everything about yourself out there. So,
That
yeah.
makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
When you were talking about that, a question just kind of came up into my head. Obviously, in the last, let's say, decade, 2 decades, the whole LGBTQ trans movement has been happening. Was it different? In was it difficult to write about certain topics in your book because of that movement, or I know there's a lot of people in America who are against that movement for various reasons.
Right.
So, was it difficult for you to write that based on the anti-LGBTQ trans movement?
Yeah. I go like, I have different like aspects to that question. Um, it was difficult. I was like, oh, I expect to get some hate from this because of the topics that it has, and that I was really worried about that, because I was like, oh, like it's my first, like it's like my debut, and I don't want to receive like a whole bunch of hate for it, and da da da. But at the end of the day, it goes back to kind of our first question, which not first question, but the question we talked about before, which is, I feel like it's important to be honest about these issues, especially in the time that we're going through now. Like, we need more people talking about this. we need more voices to be open, and it's just, yeah, it's all about visibility and awareness. So I felt like it was even more important to put it in the book because of the
Right,
time that we're going through.
right. So was it, sorry, obviously you have now written the book, correct?
Yeah, written and published it. Yeah.
Was it difficult publishing the book with certain, trying to figure out how to say this without being a total ass, but like, was it difficult to publish books, your book, with certain, lack of a better word, verbiage, sensitive topics, where I think like Florida or recently said you can't show certain topics or movies to young children.
Yeah, I'm really glad that I live where I live in
Yeah.
California. It's interesting that you asked that because I'm currently in the process of trying to get my book into libraries, and with all the stuff going around with book bans, it's going to be a challenge to get it into libraries nationwide for sure. That's just something I'm mentally like prepared for. I do expect to receive like some rejection, like if I kind of submit an application for the book to like a library that's not in California, maybe, or in a different region in California that might be more conservative. I do expect to get some pushback. So just mentally preparing for that. I was kind of having that in my head as I was writing the book. Um, and yeah, it's, again, just to kind of reiterate, I think it's so important to talk about these issues. I think not letting what's going on in the world today silence people like me or allies. I think it's just important to speak up. Yeah.
I do apologize for my ignorance when I asked this question, but what do you mean by people like you?
So I identify as a colored queer non-binary person, and so it's all these minorities in one identity. So that's kind of what I meant by
Okay,
people like me. Yeah.
okay. I just wanted to be clear. That's all.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. So let's just say you were trying to get your book into an area of the, at least the US, where it's more conservative or like super conservative. How would you deal with people who have not only the different views as you, but who may also disagree with having your books in a public library? Or
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I can't, and my goal at the end of the day is to try my best to spread the awareness of these issues. That's my job at the end of the day. I can't control the outcome.
right,
I can only deal with it with grace, and that's kind of the way I'm gonna go about it. I'm still gonna try. I'm still gonna, like, the first state that pops in my mind is Texas, just because I lived there for a long time. And so yeah, I'm gonna try my best. It's my job as an artist and author, especially for a work that's mine, to do my best to put it out, because I do think it's a message worth sharing. But again, I can't control the outcome. I can't control what people say about it. So yeah, I'm just gonna try to go through and move through that with the best of my ability.
okay, that's cool. Can't think of any more questions I want to ask you.
Yeah, I'll just kind of say in terms of like finding me and like where to find my work and stuff. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr. I have my own website. I'm on YouTube, although I don't post a lot of videos. So you can find me on there. It's literally my first name and my last name. Like, I don't have a complicated user
If
ID,
you're on
whatever.
YouTube, I'll put it in the description box down below.
Oh, thank you so
Yeah,
much. Thank you.
no
Thank
worries.
you.
Um, but yeah, it was nice having you on the show. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to me and talk to us, more importantly.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
One final question. Where can people find your book if they choose to read it?
Yeah. So it's on Amazon. The book title, I don't know if this is backwards or not on the video, but this is my copy that I take to readings and stuff, but
Okay.
it's called It Hurts to Breathe. And you can find it on Amazon. You can also find it on my website, which like links to my Amazon. It's on my social media stuff. So yeah.
All right, cool. As always, thanks for, well, first of all, thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate it. As always, have a good one. See you in the next episode. Peace.
Thank you.